Welcome, my heroes, my heroic seminary teachers. I'm so excited that you showed up today to check in and get this lesson. I'm so excited for Moroni 1 lesson. I don't have anything big and dramatic today, like a big Lego activity, but I've got a lot of little small things that help kids stay engaged, help them still stay connected, help them to stay with me so they're not falling asleep and they're not doing things that, are distracting so that they're staying with me. I have the rock, paper, scissors, share activity. Rock, paper, scissors, share activity. That's such a good transformative, just a little thing that makes a big difference. And I've been using that for a month. I've talked about it a few times. I'm going to officially introduce that today. I have cross reference connections activity, inside outside circle, we've talked about before, and stand for youth activity, stand for your faith activity, all these little things that make a class engaging. And that's what I want to try to help you to see today and experience. And so I want to thank you for coming. If you're here, man, if you're teaching seminary, you're a hero. You're changing the world one seminary class at a time. I believe in you. That's so incredible, so incredible. And then Satan's number one tool is discouragement. And this business, teaching seminary, can be so discouraging. Part of the reason I share this stuff is because it took me so long to create this stuff or to find this stuff. Some of this stuff I created, like rock, paper, scissors, share, I created that. But it's come from other great people like who created Inside Outside Circle. And it took me so long. We're talking 15, 18 years of teaching to try to gather this stuff. And it was so much work and I was so discouraged so often. And I still struggle with discouragement. But I want to share these activities because I want to be of help. And when I leave teaching seminary, I hope that somebody can build off of some of what I left behind. And that's the only way we get better is to take what's the good stuff out there and to build on it. We don't always have to create our own. Most of what gathered, I've gathered from other people. And then that starts the wheels turning to where now I create my own stuff. I share this, and I hope that you're compiling these activities like Lego Share. Probably could do that once a semester. If you didn't hear Lego Share, go check out Ether 1227. Lego Share. Compile a list of these activities because these are activities you could do once a month, once a semester that keep kids engaged. I wanted to share a comment that somebody left in the comment and highlight this. Our kids really like the Lego activity. We didn't have enough time for mind mapping and Legos. I taught a short lesson about Ether 1227, had them read and mark the verses, and then use the Lego activity to get them to talk to each other. We called it building each other up. I highlighted this because she created that. I love that. They had some fantastic scriptural conversations, super motivating for them to talk more so that their piles would grow. I love the engagement. Then we extended the Lego gathering to a second day and started with a doctoral mastery review in which they could earn more Legos for their pile. The rest of the time was building doctrinal mastery scenes or gospel principles in Legos. Such a fun idea. Thanks so much for your work. I really look forward to your innovative lessons each week. Wow. I love this because I'm seeing some parts of my lesson and then she innovated, created, and changed things. And that's totally awesome. Now, if you're super struggling and you don't have a lesson, you can do exactly what I do in my lesson. That's why I'm telling you these things because these tips and methods really help kids stay engaged. But maybe you want to do it your own way. Perfect. But there's so much engaging activity here. I hope you'll steal some of it, right? So, Rose, had my class start out with Rose, Thorn, Bud. What's a success? What's a challenge? What's a potential? And I have them talk to the neighbors. I think it's less effective to go through each student in the class and share this with the class, especially if you have a huge class. If you got 3 kids, this would be a perfect class activity. If you got 25 kids and you're going to go around to each one and share Rose, Thorn, Bud, it takes way too long. Share with your neighbor, help them feel that connection with their neighbor rather than them tuning out after they share. Is it too long to share with everybody? I'm reviewing their reading to say, okay, if you're not done, write down one chapter you're going to read tonight. I have this awesome video I will be what I say, what I believe, I think it's called. Here's a link to it. I love this little video. I actually played this in the background while I had them doing some other things, but such a credible song. It's linked in this PowerPoint scripture study page, always in the show notes and for free. Why for free? Because I was that teacher who wanted to buy stuff for my class and I couldn't afford it. So I'm giving this stuff free forever. Here's an intro from straight out of the lesson manual. And so you go read that. Here's a next part of the intro that was in the lesson. And then a video. I'm going to play a video of Moroni wandering around. It's like 4 minutes. Before the video, this is like a 1% better tip. Before the video, ask, what do you think would have been super hard for Moroni? Just get them to think about that and play the video to 3:59. And then, and you know it's 3:59 when he goes, takes his rabbits into some cave. End it right there. Then I have them turn to your neighbor. What do you think would have been super hard for your Moroni? Turn to your neighbor, ask them. They talk about it for 1 minute. And this is where I introduce rock, paper, scissors, share. I have them rock, paper, scissors with their teammate. And it's just one time, best out of one. Think about the times where you play a video and then you ask a question and nobody responds. That's what I wanted to get rid of. I asked the question before the video. They watch the video. I ask it again, share with your teammate. Now they're prepared. And I say, you can share what your teammate said or your own thought. Rock, paper, scissors, share. Rock, paper, scissors. The loser shares. And then I just go, okay, out of you two, who's sharing? Out of you two, who's sharing? And I just go around and I get as many as I want. And then I finish. I don't have to have the whole class share. Just get 2, 3, 4. Talk about it. But this rock, paper, scissors, and then loser shares, it's been gold. Because now I just turn to people. What do you think? Who's sharing out of here? Who's sharing out of you two? They're usually like, I'm sharing. And then they do it. I'm doing it. And they're sharing. They're sharing like crazy. I just, oh, how about you? Oh, how about you? And I get all these comments without the lag. I hate the lag. And so that's why I solved the problem. Like, okay. Now let's jump into the scripture study. Read Moroni 1. Mark what he says he will not do. It's in this verse. Read it. And I actually had them read this together. And then I said underneath, right, what do you think Moroni is saying to us in your own words? What do you think he said? This part right here, verse 3. And I, Moroni, will not deny the Christ. Have them. Okay, turn to your neighbor, share that thought. And then next slide is ask your neighbor, who do you know that is good at standing up for their beliefs in a positive way that exemplifies Christ's way of living? Who's that person? And then I said, okay, rock, paper, scissors, share. Turn to your neighbor, rock, paper, scissors, best out of one. Share with the class now. Who do you know that? And boom. Okay, who's sharing out of YouTube? Who's sharing out of YouTube? Who's sharing out of YouTube? Who do you know that is good at standing up for their beliefs in a positive way that exemplifies Christ? Perfect. Now, this is the cross-reference connection activity. I have these cross-references, and I have 6. I said, okay, with your partner, decide which 3 you're going to read and which 3 your partner is going to read. You read 3 and your teammate reads 3. Now read and mark each box and connect the phrase that most connects to the phrase, I will not deny the Christ. And so they read. So for example, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, draw a connecting line right here. This one's be strong and of good courage. Boom, draw a connection. Okay. So then I give them time to do that. And I said, all right, we're going to watch a little clip from President Monson. It's about a 45-second clip and it's linked in the video and it starts at the right place. It's linked in the notes. And basically a young man in military kneels down and prays every night, and despite people making fun of him. So he's a hero. And I say, okay, be ready to answer what stands out to you about this example. After the video, turn to your teammate. I didn't have the class share. I just jump back into the activity. Now I want you to share with your teammate what the phrase to highlight and how it connects to this phrase. And so now they all highlight those phrases. I jump into another video. And this one, what stands out to you about this example? where Joseph F. Smith is asked, "Are you a Mormon?" And he says, "Through and through." I love that. Such a great church history story. I kind of bounce back and forth between, okay, let's pause for a minute, go to this video clip, pause for a minute, go back to your activity, pause for a minute, go back to the video clip, and then you will one day find yourself called upon to defend your faith. I love this quote. Great quote. And a story that I have linked here, and I also have the audio. The audio takes about 3 minutes, and I like to act this one out. I was like, "Okay, this is such a cool story. You got these kids at a campfire, and the kid's like, 'If you're a real man, you'll have a sip of this beer.'" And I had a cup, and I was, like, modeling, acting it out a little bit, get dramatic, or just play the audio clip from the new era. Links in the video, links in the show note or under the slide in the show notes too. Um, Basically, it goes like this: kids are at the store at a campfire, and there's just teenagers. And this boy stands up. "If you're a real man, you'll have a sip of this beer." And he drinks it, passes it to his neighbor, and the kid's like, and then he drinks it, passes it. Next kid drinks it, and passes it, and then Rand, who's telling the story, says, came to his buddy Rick, and Rick stands up and says, "Ah!" He throws the beer, and then he reaches in his backpack, pulls out a grape soda, and says, "If you're a real man, you'll drink this grape soda." And yeah, and he drinks his grape soda. Yeah. And then passed it back to the other boys that had just drunk the beer. Cool story. I like to animate that story, but you can listen to the audio. And then we're going to jump into this quote: "The atonement of Jesus Christ is for you. His life's mission was for you. His sacrifice, death was for you. And his resurrection is for you." Christ suffered and set the example of being mistreated because of his beliefs. To lead to our next example, in the lesson material, it had this link, and I read this article. So the article is called "Stand Up, Speak Up, and Shine." At some point, as a disciple of Christ, you will be called upon to articulate what you know and believe. How will you react when a situation presents itself to speak up for Jesus Christ and his church? Each of us needs to be better at articulating the reasons of our faith. I had students answer the questions that she puts in her talk, and I had them write for 5 minutes. I'm saying, "I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I want you to write responses to these, and pace yourself so you get through all of them." When I had students respond to these questions, these are some real testimony type questions. And I told the kids to be real. I said, if you don't really believe something, say, I'm struggling to believe it. I'm not trying to force you to write a testimony that you do not have. And I want to encourage you to emphasize that to your students. But I invite you to write what you genuinely feel and be real. It's okay to be real in seminary. And the reason I really like this activity is because it's a safe environment. Nobody's going to make fun of you for your beliefs or what you think. Or even if you mess up or struggle to answer it, that's okay. We're just practicing. But this is a safe place where we can practice and be okay. How do you feel about Jesus Christ? Why do you stay in the church? Why do you believe in the Book of Mormon scripture? Where do you get peace? As she asked these questions, she stated, you may be asked these questions someday. And so I decided to use these questions. Fill out each question with a brief note. You may be asked to share a response to a peer. Brigham Young said, after they're done with this, Brigham Young said, "Many may think they haven't any testimony to bear, but get them to stand up, and they will find the Lord will give them utterance to many truths they had not thought of before." More people have obtained a testimony while standing up trying to bear it than down on their knees praying for it. And that was quoted by Elder Bednar back in 2006. So this is where I said, okay, we're going to do inside-outside circle. I do this a lot. But if your class is super rowdy, you might not want to do this. But because they do exist, super rowdy classes do exist. But I just start counting up. If I got 20 people, I count out 10 people, and I said, okay, spread out, outside circle. Okay. And then I said, okay, now you next 10 people, go find somebody to stand next to. And you're the inside circle. If your class struggles with this, you might cut up a slip of paper, like a little strip of paper, and hand it to your outside circle people. Okay, some people are like, I don't know if I'm outside or inside. Okay. If you got a white piece of paper, you're outside, you stay inside, and I always rotate the inside. Okay. So then I say, take your paper, this paper right here, and you're going to, this is the situation. Now, I give them this situation before I put them in the inside outside circle, just because you want to give them the instructions before they're standing up, working with friends, they get distracted. So give them this situation. A friend comes up to you at school and says, hey, you're a Mormon? I'm a missionary. Well, technically, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mormon was a man that lived thousands of years ago. Friend, okay, I got a question for you. And they get to ask any one of these questions. Okay. Now, if you want, you could say, okay, I want you to ask question number 1 this time. Because my son, he told me that he got asked the same question 4 times, which is interesting. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the Lord knew he needed to answer that question today. But friend, I've got a question for you. And then they read one of these questions. Where do you get your peace? Right. And then the member missionary answers that question. And they just answer it for like 30 seconds. And then I say, rotate. And they rotate one person. And then I say, okay, outside circle, you're the missionary. So inside circle, you're the friend, go. Hey, are you a Mormon? Outside circle, member missionary, go. And then I say, rotate. And then I said, inside circle, now you're the missionary. So friend, or I'll say, you're the friend, however you want to do it. Inside circle, you're the friend, go. Hey, you're a Mormon. And then say, rotate. Once they finish, works so good. Works so good. Just keeps them with you. And we're practicing answering these questions. We're given a situation where they have to stand up, like President Brigham Young said. So keep them going, keep them moving, keep them engaged. After, sit down, write what was the message for you from Christ today. Have them write for 1 minute, and you could do the rock, paper, scissors, share, and get some people to share. Boom. How about you? What was the message for you today from Christ? Boom. What was the message from you today from Christ? That's a beautiful way to end. Getting them to write, ponder what was the message for me from Christ, and then sharing. This is the most powerful thing to get them to share. I just feel the Spirit so strong when I get students to share this at the end of the lesson. So there you go. That's the lesson. Use what you like. Adapt some of these activities into your lesson, however you think. Adapt them into your lesson, and then expand on them and make them better. And when you make them better, put a comment in the show notes, put a comment below the video so I can see too. I want to get some back from you awesome teachers out there. Hey, remember your heroes. You're the heroes we've been waiting for. You're changing the world one seminary class at a time. Have a great day, everybody.